I'd like to introduce you to our very good friend, Rabbi Yisroel, who is here from Baltimore. He is a rabbi, a lawyer, and a counselor, so a one-stop shop for all of your marriage needs. We're so happy he did join us. He was here with us over the high holidays, and he will now be here with us over the next 6 weeks. So a couple of things that we wanted to let you know. After the talks, he will be available to meet with people for 10-minute intervals. There is a sign-up sheet here, which we can pass around, or you can come up at the end. So if you have particular questions that you'd like to ask him privately, or anything that you would like to consult with him on for about 10 minutes, then you can do that. And he will also be in town over the next 6 weeks to meet people for longer counseling or individual sessions if you would like. So without further ado, because we are a little bit behind, I'd like to introduce you on behalf of the Jewish Family Institute to Rabbi.
I want to thank Ellie Bass very much for organizing the entire Jewish Family Institute. She's the director, very exciting programming here at the Village Shul, and we hope that you take advantage of some of the programs. There's some brochures here about the other activities of Village Shul Family Institute. And I want to thank Ellie for organizing this event and a series of lectures that we're about to embark upon. In 1947, in Israel, there was a family made up of 6 children and the parents, Miriam and Chaim. Chaim was working for the Jewish underground, the Haganah. And unfortunately, he was arrested and sent to the great British prison, the Akko prison. Has anyone been to Akko and seen the prison? 8 Haganah fighters were executed by the British in 47-48 for activities against the British mandate. And he was sent there, and he received a letter from his wife. Dear Chaim, we are very proud of you that you are a hero fighting for the establishment of the Jewish people, the Jewish state. The problem is that I'm sitting here on our farm, our moshav, with our potato farm, and it's now time to plant the potatoes. As you know, of course, we have 6 children under the age of 8, and I have no farm hands to help me, and if I don't plant the potatoes now, we won't have food and we won't be able to sell this produce to support our family. So, my dear hero, Chaim, what do I do now? Love, Miriam. Chaim wrote back a letter and said the following. Dear Miriam, whatever you do, don't touch the field. Under the field are buried 150 rifles of the Jewish Haganah. Don't touch the field. Love, Chaim. As you know, when a letter is sent from a military institution, it is always picked up by the military censor. The next day, 150 British troops descended upon their farm with shovels in their hand and dug up their field. That night, Miriam wrote a letter to Chaim. Dear Chaim, the troops came today and dug up every inch of our potato field and didn't find one single precious rifle of the Haganah. What do I do now? Love, Miriam. Chaim wrote back a letter and said, Dear Miriam, now go and plant the potatoes. In our series, we're now going to dig a little deeper under the field as to what the concept is of love in marriage. We're all here, and I believe that I'd like to propose to you that we're going to embark upon a 2-week laboratory experiment. We are all in this crucible, this laboratory of trying to improve and become better people, improve our marriages. And even though it's a 3-week series, it's only 2 weeks. Tonight, next week, and the following week, a total of 2 weeks. So I'm going to ask you to work with me, and let's create an experiment. And we'll do some evaluation at the end of the experiment to see how we're doing. So I'd like to ask you to do me a favor right now and write down what is your goal. On the top of your wheel page, the page of the wheel, Everyone should have a wheel like this. Okay, more are coming, they're on their way. Elliot's waiting more. Everyone should have a wheel like this. On top of the wheel, over here, write down the word goal. What do you want to work on in your marriage or personally? What is your goal? And we will see in 3 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, whether we've achieved that goal to be able to evaluate whether this seminar, this workshop, has been successful. Now, I'd like to ask you to break that down a little bit further and write down, give yourself a number. Let's say you want to work on happiness in marriage. And your happiness level right now is, write down the number. Out of 10, 1 is a low number, 1 is a 10, 10 is a high number. Write down 6, or 5, or 3, or 9, or 10. And let's give it a number in a Richter scale in order to be able to see whether or not at the end of this program of 2 weeks' time, whether you've actually seriously improved toward your goal, whether there's an increase in happiness in your marriage. We're assuming that everyone here has a good marriage. And our goal is to turn the marriage into a song of songs, a shir hashirim. So wherever you are on the spectrum of relationship success, everyone wants to improve their marriage. So I want to start with the assumption that we're all here in a good place. And we always want to be in a better place. In fact, that's the purpose of Judaism. Judaism is not a religion. Judaism is a system for personal growth. It's a system designed by the creator of the universe, who knows us well, to help us with our own free choice, to develop ourselves and to become the best person we can become. That's the purpose of life. That's the purpose of Judaism. It's not a religion. The spiritual practices that we perform in Judaism, for example, Shabbat, are times of reflection, to reflect on how we can improve ourselves. Shabbat, of course, is a family time. It's a romantic opportunity to look at your spouse over the candles and gaze into her eyes or his eyes and see the children around the table and have a romantic Friday night dinner. Every Friday night. An opportunity to reflect. And where in the Torah is there this idea of improving yourself? Making Shabbat into a personal growth experience. It says, 6 days you shall work, and the 7th day you shall rest. What it really means on a deeper Kabbalistic level is, 6 days you shall work on yourself. And the 7th day you shall reflect on the new person you become a week later. If all you are is 1 week older and 1 week more tired than you were last week, come Friday night, TGIF, then you've blown Shabbat. You've blown it. The purpose of Shabbat is to say, how did I grow in the past week? How did I 6 days work on myself, and the 7th day rest and reflect on my self-improvement? So Shabbat is a very busy day. It's not a day off. It's a day of reflection, a day of thinking, a day of planning to improve myself. What am I going to work on this week? That's how Shabbat can fit into the system of personal growth. That's what we're going to show how marriage can be that system of personal growth. I was in LA for a Shabbaton a couple years ago, and Shabbat morning afterwards, the Kiddush took place, and a man about 55 came up to me and said to me, you know, I really enjoyed what you had to say, and I wanted to tell you that I want to introduce you to my wife and children. And there are my kids playing over there. They're twins. They're about 6 or 7 years old. And he said, you're probably wondering why I'm an older person and I have twins who are 6 or 7. I said, no, actually I wasn't wondering, but if you want to tell me, you can tell me. And he said, well, the first 13 years of our marriage, we didn't have children. And we were wondering, we've gone to fertility experts and doctors and gurus, and we were not successful. So we flew to Israel to speak to a spiritual leader, a great rabbi, a Kabbalist, to get a blessing to have children. So when we walked in, before I sat down, as I was sitting down, the man said to me and said, I know why you're here. And I'm not going to be able to give you a blessing to have children. I was flabbergasted that he knew why I was here. And he said, because your marriage is not a place where I want to bring children, give you a blessing for children to enter into this marriage. Because your marriage is replete with criticism of your wife every single day of your marriage. And therefore, I cannot give you a blessing to have children if you don't have children. If you have children, then you have to deal with it. But if you don't have children, I cannot, as a spiritual leader, give you a blessing to bring children into a acrimonious, difficult situation where they're not going to get security, protection, love. They're going to hear negativity. So I can't give you a blessing. At that moment, he said, I resolved at that moment to never criticize my wife again. I said, that's it. If that's the reason, and my wife told me that she knew that's the reason. She knew that that's the reason why we weren't having children, because of the negative energy going on between the two of us. I resolved never to criticize her again. And 12 months later, we had those two children over there. These are our twins. And then we had the 4-year-old, and we had the 2-year-old, and we have 4 children, and that's why I didn't have children until I'm in my 50s, but that's what we have children. So, proposal number 1 in our experiment is, it's only 2 weeks, I'm going to propose that for the next 2 weeks, there is 0 criticism of your spouse. Not direct criticism, not indirect criticism, not criticism through the children, saying, your mother always serves dinner 4 hours late. Or your father never really pays any attention to his children. Can you tell him that? And sometimes we communicate with each other through our children. Tell your mother that I'll be home late for dinner. Tell your father that he should call his mother. Right? So, we are not going to communicate through the children. We're not going to take pot shots, digs, direct or indirect criticism for 2 weeks. I want to ask a show of hands. Are you in? You in? Okay, who's not in? All right. Who's brave enough to say I'm not in? You're not in. Why not? You're not in. Why not?
No. Too much.
It's too much? Why is it too much? No criticism? It's too much? Why? The reason why we criticize and why a person you can do this. You can. Is if you feel good about yourself, then there'll be no need to take pot shots at your spouse, and there'll be no need to respond to a negative comment by your spouse. If your spouse says, I don't like the way you're doing that, I go, I'm okay. I know what you're saying. Let's talk about it. Instead of saying, well, you. So the first and important technique is do not use the word you. So the word you is now going to be removed from your vocabulary for 2 weeks. You will not say, you are making me angry. You are chewing your food too loudly. You never pay attention to the children. You don't bring me flowers anymore. You're not going to use the word you. You're going to use the word I. I am feeling sad. I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling distant. I am feeling upset. I am hurt. But we're not going to say, you are hurting me. You are annoying me. So, you're going to remove as a strategy toward succeeding in this plan of 2 weeks of no criticism, you're going to use the word I. Talk about yourself, not about the other person. Because if you say you, then automatically you're putting the other person on the defensive. You're criticizing, you're putting them in a corner, and they seem to be forced to have to respond with a defensive comment of their own. You, right, let's try that. Turn to your spouse or turn to your significant other next to you and say, this is the last criticism, the last one right here. Get it all out now. Okay? Enjoy, go for it, right? The last one, the one. Use your favorite one right now. Your favorite criticism. Right? Turn to your spouse and use your most favorite criticism. Because this is it. Sow your wild oats. This is it. Right? This is your swan song. Go ahead and use your best you. You see, it's getting hot in here. And now, are you ready? Now let's change the temperature in the room. Ready? Now say the same thing and change it to an I. I am feeling, I am upset, I am. Go ahead now and change it and see what it feels like. Okay, good. Now, what did it feel like when your spouse said I? What was the response you got? Anybody? What was the response you got when you said the word I am feeling, or I'm upset, or I'm annoyed, or I am frustrated? What response did you get?
You poor thing.
You poor thing. Okay? Right? Was it genuine? Was it sincere?
No.
No. You are so honest. Okay? Sorry? A nod? You got a nod? What did you get before when you said you? Some remark, right? So you got a nod. Okay? You shut up. You see it's working already. Anyone else get a different response? On the I feel? I am? Yes?
Well, I actually reflected and found out that it wasn't her fault.
Oh. So automatically, you don't blame somebody else. You don't blame your spouse. Even though when God said to Adam, Adam, did you eat from the tree I asked you not to eat from? What was Adam's response to God? What was man's first response to God's challenge?
The woman you gave me.
The woman you gave me, she gave of the tree to me and I ate. The very first response of man is blame somebody else. Well, when you want to have success in marriage, let's start taking responsibility for ourselves. It's not